What's the good word, Josh? Your boy DKB here. Jermaine Johnson is loading up an Apex Predator type season. And with the recent conversations we just had about Hassan Reddick potentially being Defensive Player of the Year, I find it very intriguing that honestly he doesn't have the same resume as a guy like Hassan, but I can make the argument that he could still walk away this season as the best pass rusher for the New York Jets this year. And it's things like this where he's continuously proactively working on becoming elite. We've seen the huge bulk up last year. Now he's really refining his body, his technique, his skill set, the mentality, and he's doing so by joining Von Miller's Elite Sack Summit camp. Now, couple interesting things about this. Originally, Von Miller had this idea sparked by being on a tour with Drake, and he kind of noticed the obsession Drake has with honing his craft, working with new guys, working with the elite top tier old guys, new producers, etc., 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 putting himself in continuous situations, be able to learn and find something that he can add to himself, right? And that's really what sparked this camp being founded by Von Miller. And then in the last year or two, he's found a way to bring in Max Crosby and Cam Jordan as well. So just those three guys hosting an event, you're talking about over 300, I think the number is like 303 and a half, but over 300 sacks between just these three guys worth of experience that's coming in. This year they also had more legends that were showing up, but the Sack Summit essentially across the 2 days consists of starting things off with breakfast, having 2 hours of field work that they're putting in, and then they had 3 hours of film study. One of the cool things about this that I liked is that they had Brian Baldinger pop up for this event, and we're familiar with him, right? Breaks down a lot of New York Jets content, but it was great to see him be able to mix in what he's seeing. And another cool aspect here in that the players are also breaking down their own film while everybody else is watching, so you really get the holistic approach here from the player's perspective, right? What was happening? What was the formation? What tackle, what guard were you going up against, right? Obviously, you get to throw in the player himself. What's the physical build? What's the skill set, right? Is he more a finesse guy? Is he a power guy? Can he do speed to power conversion? Great power to speed. Is he a closer? Is he a guy that can beat you off the snap extremely quick? So there's a lot of different elements here that you can pick up and be able to piece and kind of weave into your own game, if you will. And then they have some other dope things out there. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneers general manager Mark Dominic had a Q&A financial literacy session. And then, of course, to wrap all of the things up, because it was hosted in Vegas, there's some gambling and nightclub activities. But all in all, I kind of love the thought process, especially the film study part. Von Miller mentioned it's the one time where the guy that you're watching is actually being able to explain what's going on. And we've heard at various points all of the different guys that people will watch, right? Quentin Williams talking about watching JJ, and he's watching other guys out on the edge, let alone guys on the defensive tackle spot like Fletcher Cox. And the same goes for JJ, right? He's watching Bryce Huff, he's watching the Hassan Reddicks of the world, he's watching the Max Crosbys, and you can't help but get excited for this season, right? He's been a guy that's put his head down. He's gotten after the things the right way. You're seeing huge leaps in development, right? And it's not just from a stat standpoint. When you turn on the film, you can see a night and day difference between who he is. Back during the 2021 draft, I remember the argument being, should we take him at 10? And at the time, I was vehemently against it because while I loved what he brought from an athleticism standpoint, his career arc when it comes from being, I forget the Netflix special he was on again, but basically working his way into one of the more known franchises in a huge role and being able to really put on display what he can do. I didn't feel like he had a strong pass rush arsenal, or at least the ability to game plan around his pass rush arsenal, right? And I've seen some snippets even in the Origins New York Jets, documentary series they're going through, where he mentions playing against Miami at one point, which was one of his best games, and he knew he needed to make a play at a certain point, and he just kind of blinked, and the play was over. He ended up getting a sack, but he talks about not even really having a game plan going into it now. And when I think about some of the press conferences and things that I'm seeing here, is obviously a completely different mentality for him. So I'm really rooting for this guy. I think, again, as much as we've talked about Hassan Reddick being a defensive player of the year, at the end of the season, it could be, Jermaine Johnson's name could finally be put potentially in that same tier that you're getting with the likes of Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, right? All guys have essentially broken in to the top 3 to let's just say top 10, right? Because Garrett Wilson, you can make an argument he's probably the least respected talent, ironically, out of that what is it? It's not quintuplet, quartet. And Jermaine Johnson may finally make that leap to get into that tier and get his respect. And for a guy that was once considered to probably be one of the people that wouldn't get paid out of this quartet, he can end up being one of the guys that actually come out with an extension. I loved everything about what I've seen, and I mentioned this before when I dropped some comments on other videos, but one of the things that stuck out to me from one of his first few quotes in the Jets uniform is that, he loves being able to handle run defense, but also the respect that he gives that element of the game, and that if you want to rush the quarterback, you have to earn it by playing great defense. And so I knew the guy was probably going to work his way into some level of stardom just based off of that. But I'm really excited to kind of see how this continues to help boost and elevate his game. But let me know what you guys think. What is Jermaine Johnson's Apex Predator season going to look like? And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.